One of the biggest mysteries of The Walking Dead that has not been solved to this day. One of the biggest mysteries that is almost 10 years old since the first time this mystery appeared. The famous PPP card, which didn't appear just once in The Walking Dead universe. But yeah, it was mentioned intensely at least 3 times. What is this mystery card? It will be connected to a group of scientists who will solve something. It is related to the CRM, which is a group that had taken Rick. They will bring something about this card in the future of this universe. Well, we have a lot of explanations, we have a lot of confirmation, a lot of points, and I decided to bring an exclusive video that I never brought on the channel, just about everything we know about this gigantic mystery of The Walking Dead. And if you wanna know, stay here and let's go. Hello everyone who watching this beautiful channel, my name is John Victor and I'm back to talk about The Walking Dead universe again. And let's go to talk about something that will be so important to The Walking Dead in the future. Something that when you see for the first time you think it's just an isolated thing, it's not something special, but when you connect to a lot of things in this universe, you will understand that this is big. Let me explain, but first don't forget to check the like in this video, it helps me a lot with the promotion, and also don't forget to subscribe here if you like more contents about The Walking Dead universe, and there we go. Here's the thing, here on the screen we have the guy, the main responsible for the first introduction of this mystery of The Walking Dead there, back in the season 7 of the show. Yeah, I'm talking about Heath. Yeah, people already talked a lot about this guy, a lot of points in the internet, a lot of theories, but yeah, he is the first character connected with his mystery of this card, and this was revealed in the episode that he disappears. Yeah, Heath disappears in the episode 6 of the season 7, called Swear. The famous episode that is one of the worst of the show to date. In this episode we see the first appearance of Oceanside, that Tara meets them there, she divides from Heath, and when she come back to meet him, she realized that the trailer they were in has disappeared, and this card has been left behind, with a PPP writing, and we can see the P's are very close together. Yeah, at the time a lot of people thought it was the helicopter group, the name of the helicopter group, which is the CRM in fact. The people thought it's this PPP there, but in fact they wanted to change it, so they discarded it, but no, they didn't rule it out. I will explain it to you here, clarify if you still have doubts. CRM is one thing, PPP is something else. Yeah, I can confirm this in this video. But going back to the first appearance of this, you know, the disappearance of his trailer, then still in the season 7, when Rick meets Jadis and her group, there in the background of the scene when he climbs up, we can see the trailer, I mean the RV in the background. They put it on purpose. In addition, there's a helicopter in the background as well. Then going to the season 9, we have the appearance of this RV again, with Jadis directing this RV, and yeah, it was left to Angela Kang, the showrunner of The Walking Dead. She started to be the showrunner in season 9. Yeah, she confirmed in an interview on Talking Dead, the talk show of The Walking Dead, she said that Jadis captured Heath and sent him to the CRM itself, to the helicopter group. This was a lot of theory at the time, before Rick's series came out, that he could appear in the Rick spin-off and other points, and nothing on this character until today for years. So this was the first point of appearance of the PPP card. Now let's go to the second point of appearance, which was years later. In this case, it was in 2022. Yeah, back in 2022, we had that spin-off Tales of the Walking Dead, the show with the anthological episodes, a story about each character, and in the episode 5, we have the story of a guy named Devon. That is a guy who mysteriously wakes up in a community there in Maine, where people speak all French. They accuse him of having killed a person. In the episode itself, in the midst of him having to prove his innocence, he reveals a little more about who he is. We see that he was passing through that community because Maine is in the border with Canada. He was about to be able to get to Canada, going to Montreal. Many people tried to find where this photo is, where is this college. No one found it exactly, but anyway, in this photo you can see some symbols of the Eiffel Tower there, the tower from France, from Paris. There's one next to Devon's head, and there's another one in the other side. It's as if this college were in France. Somehow, then there's a theory that he would be connected to France. And we have to remember, France was where the apocalypse began in The Walking Dead, which has the issue of the scientists who appeared in the post-credit scenes of World Beyond. In that scene, we see some scientists arriving there, trying to find some videos, trying to find a way to cure everything, and she reveals about some groups of scientists, the Primrose group, the Violet group, and also we expected to find out more about this in the Daryl spin-off, but this show addressed very little about it. They didn't want to touch that side of origin and the scientists themselves anymore. And the question is, why is that? But let's keep going. Now now you begin to understand a little bit of the reasoning better, because going back to Devon, here's the thing. In the sequence, after he reveals more about the family, we see the card, the PPP card, the same card that Heath left behind back in the 7th season of The Walking Dead. It increases our list to 2 mysterious characters who have information stored and that has not been revealed to us until now. So how did he get this card and why? So Heath from The Walking Dead, he didn't have any very defined goals. He doesn't talk about anything related to scientists or anything like that. It may be that he kept it, he didn't give so much indication. As for Devon from Tales of the Walking Dead, we already know a little bit of his goal. His goal was to go to Montreal, if possible to meet his family. We see that he possibly had some connection with France, so you are already beginning to imagine that PPP card may have something to do with this scientist from France. What if Devon participated in any situation to try to cure all this? Because also the post-credit scene of World Beyond there, in the scenes in France, showed us that even after all these years, if the Primrose group, which is one of the group of scientists, returned to France, they would be able to solve all this. The scientists tell this in the scene. So the question is, Devon could be part of this group. Are those who have this card part of this group of scientists? This is already a first theory. But also, I have 2 important things for you to reason about this: Heath's appearance, even his disappearance, also Devon's appearance in Tales of the Walking Dead. There's a difference of many years between these moments. In this case, Heath's disappearance, it happens at a time when we are around 2 years after the beginning of the outbreak. Yeah, when the season 7 of The Walking Dead takes place, there were 2 years of the apocalypse. There hadn't been much of time jump. And also, talking about Devon's story, the moment that Devon's story takes place there in the episode 5 of Tales was confirmed there around 15 years after the outbreak. And there was still something with a card like that. With this, you can first understand that this card was distributed right at the beginning of the outbreak. Devon must have this from the beginning of everything, because Heath, with less than 2 years of the outbreak, already had this. And another thing that you can see and understand is that even at this point, so many years have passed, they still haven't fulfilled the objective. And then here we finished recapping the second appearance of the PPP card. Now we go to the third appearance, which is not an appearance, it is a mention of it, but very intense, the last one so far. Yeah, I'm talking about Rick and Michonne's series, The Walking Dead: The Ones Who Live, which delivered too much to us and still left a hint of it. Yeah, after 2 years, this card had appeared in Tales. Back in March of last year, 2024, we have a mention about this card in the episode 6, the last of the season of Rick spin-off. When these events at the end of The Ones Who Live takes place, we are around 12 years after the beginning of the apocalypse. And also I have to remember the location. Here we are not in Philadelphia, which was the main base of the CRM. That we have a new base of theirs in Oregon, but precisely in the mountains, the region of Cascade Mountains. And it is within this base that in one of the scenes we can see a mention of this. We see Thorne here, one of the soldiers, one of the characters of the show, trying to investigate what Rick and Michonne was plotting. In this frame, we see all the planning of the mission that the CRM was going to do there, which was the mission to bomb Portland, another big city with more than 100,000 people, which has not yet been shown on The Walking Dead to date. The first time this city was mentioned was back in 2020 in The Walking Dead World Beyond. To this day, they haven't shown it properly, but the CRM was ready to bomb this city, and we find out in this episode that in the midst of the bombing, they rescue children to be able to make them grow up in the CRM and save their lives, and we also have the PPP exception right in there. The last mention of the PPP we have had so far. In this case, we take that writing on the board and add it to the elements of the episode. We see the conference and the strategic plan of the soldiers. There we can see the map of Portland, which had 2 extraction points, which were for the CRM infiltrators in the community to flee from there with the children, and most likely also the escape point to the members of this PPP, which they consider among all the plans an exception that needs to be considered, you know? They could not eliminate this location without remembering the PPP exception. What does this imply? What we can understand from that? In addition to the CRM infiltrators, in addition to the children they need to take out, there are those people that they can't forget. They are important. Like, you have to save them too, the PPP exception. Like, we have to remember that the CRM used to be an evil group that wants to destroy community just to get supplies for them. Like Major General Bill himself in the conversation with Rick, he brings an idea to us that despite the evil, that despite the cruelty, they have already killed hundreds, thousands of people. Despite that, they have some good intention there. That all the communities in the world are reaching a point where they will run out of supplies. The herds will threaten all these communities. And going back to the character, Devon from Tales of the Walking Dead, I said that he may have some connection with some scientists and a situation in the world that wants to help save all this. Do you remember that? Well, this point of The Ones Who Live supports this even more. Like, you take a guy who probably had a connection to France, but then he was trying to go to Canada with this mysterious card without saying what it was, and the CRM ready to bomb an entire city, kill all of people, more than 100,000 people, but they want to save the infiltrators, the children they take, and save these people from this PPP. With this, you can reason very well that this may have a lot to do with scientists, or with some group that has something very important that can save humanity. And then you might think, but what about Heat, the character that disappeared from The Walking Dead? Where would Heat fit into that? Heat, despite being the first character related to this mystery, was the one who gave the least clues about being something he hadn't yet revealed. But we have some questions about him. We know him in Alexandria, we don't know his origin, we don't know what he did, how he got there, we don't know much about what he did in the past. What we know is that this guy was magically captured by Jadis and sent to the CRM. Everyone expected that a destiny would be shown for this character, and it was not shown. He still kept without showing his destiny. In the same way, we don't have the explanation about the PPP. We don't know what's the reason of this card. And people who are PPP, we know are important to the CRM. So it makes total sense that with the sending of him to the CRM has considered the exception that he is, since they were going to consider and have given a special destination to this character. A destination that we don't know yet. Sometimes he may be working at Civic Republic itself in some situation, in some location, or he may have been sent to some strategic location. And so, that's why he did not appear again, and no one mentioned about him again. And so, what about the producers? What about the people behind The Walking Dead? The directors, the showrunners, and everything? What they say about the PPP card? Yeah, I have to remember a very important point. What the director of The Walking Dead universe said last year. Yeah, the people from the website Comic Book asked him about this card, and he said, it's like with the CRM, there's a huge mythology to it. But the thing is, and I do want to tell it, but if things change, you haven't released it, but I will say, we have. It's just sitting on the shelf right now. This really great mythology that might apply to something very, very soon. Yeah, in 2024, Scott Gimple confirmed PPP is something that is still being considered. It is something that will appear as something very important, and that is a mythology like CRM. The CRM, which is the biggest group we know in the universe of The Walking Dead, which has always been a mystery about it. We spent years without finding out what it was. PPP is basically the same thing, so everything indicates that it's a big mysterious group that they just didn't want to address yet. But that in 2024 he said that it could be approached very soon. And it is also worth remembering that now in 2025 he has said in other interviews that he has some spin-offs being developed. One of them will already been confirmed in another country, different from France, different from United States and others. And I need to remember here that the point that we know that the production of The Walking Dead is safer, more complicated to be able to tell something about it, are the issues that are related to the scientific part, the issues related to the origin, the issues related to the scientists and the cure and more things. It is worth remembering, for example, Daryl's spin-off, which everyone was believing that the post-credits of World Beyond would be explained in more detail here. Since the post-credits of World Beyond takes place in France, confirms that it all started in France, and the first and second seasons of Daryl takes place in France. But when we watched the first two seasons, there's nothing like that. There are some indications that there are some people who know more there, but they don't tell more about it. And just now, Daryl leaves France in season 3. He's not going back there anymore. Were you able to understand the connection the production used to avoid this point? What does that mean? This basically means that it is quite possible that the scientific issue of France, the issue of the PPP, which has indications of having a scientific connection, the issue of heat and other points that have not been addressed again, are all connected to be addressed later. The fact that they did 2 seasons of Daryl in France and purposely didn't show anything anything about the origin and anything scientific, even with the post-credits of the World Beyond, means a lot that they are saving it for another more special moment. And we have the confirmation from Scott Gimple that there will be a special moment where they will address the mythology of the PPP card. Like the producers of The Walking Dead, after the post-credit of World Beyond, after we see the scientists, they confirmed more than once that it was going to appear again at some point later. So if it will still appear again, it makes perfect sense that it has a connection with the PPP, which will be the mythology yet to be addressed. It is something big. If it's a group of scientists, if it's the Primrose group and Violet there, or if there are people who aren't even scientists and who want to participate in this initiative too about it, it could be too, because we don't have any evidence of Devon and Heath being scientists, but they can be too, and they were just avoiding it. Anyway, for sure there's some scientific connection to that. You can expect some of this in the future. I can say that PPP is basically the new CRM, and it must be very important to the Walking Dead universe. That's why they avoid it too much. Yeah, go write in the comments what you think about this point. What do you think about this PPP card, this connection with the scientists, Heath's situation. Be sure to subscribe in the channel so you don't miss anything. Don't forget to check the like in this video, it helps me a lot. Thank you for your patience with my English. I'm trying to practice more and more to improve it. Thank you for watching this video. I'll be back soon, and bye.